From a dream within a dream, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men who think there's so much beauty in Uwe Boll's films that they feel like they can't take it, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Thank you, Corey. And clearly that was someone who's been listening to us long enough to know that we hate Uwe Boll. Corey, who might that listener be?
That was written by Jason Kroons in his sleep.
Probably.
Wait, Joe, I'm looking at Home Media Magazine. And in 2009, you know, we talk a lot, especially during AFM.
Yeah, about AFM specials.
About how, you have no idea.
The crap.
That your biggest stars do straight to video, straight to Blu-ray stuff.
Yeah.
Not that they sign up for that.
No.
But it always winds up like that. Well, if you want to know what Catherine Zeta-Jones did in 2009, it's a movie called The Rebound.
Oh, jeez.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and Justin Bartha. Romantic comedy. Now, granted, Catherine Zeta-Jones doesn't really work anymore. She works occasionally. Doesn't do all that much
stuff.
stuff.
She won an Academy Award.
But she's an Oscar winner. You know, she starred in an Oscar-winning Best Picture.
You know, in the 1970s and 80s, this would never have happened.
Well, because there was no the Blu-rays.
It's just, ugh.
Anyway, so The Rebound. I'm just reading the ad for it, and I just find it amazing.
Dreadful.
Although Justin Bartha was in the Hangover movies. He plays the...
Oh, yeah, he's such a
in the
huge
first one,
star.
he played the guy who was getting married.
Such a huge star. Game of Thrones is coming out in
Game of
March.
Thrones is coming out in March.
And we received this big... Look, it's amazing the amount of money they spend marketing these things. It's a black box, a black mailer, specially printed with the Game of Thrones logo, and inside a custom padded box, inside of which is a little letter and a press release and 2 DVDs containing just snippets of teasers, all to provide a little bit of anticipation regarding Game of Thrones coming out in March. They must have spent tens of thousands of dollars on this thing. Making it, designing it, sending it out. It just blows my mind.
Well, if a lot of people buy it, it'll certainly help the Blu-ray sales increase.
Yes,
trending continue. You know, Blu-ray sales up 35% in 2011.
I know, isn't that great?
Well, I do think it's great. You know why? It means we get to keep doing this podcast.
Absolutely a very good thing. Kim Jong-il died, Mark. Are you sad?
I'm not sad, and I want to say that when and I've said this before, but maybe the new listeners don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
That when the LA Film Critics Association did its best of the decade poll, all of its critics, all 45 critics, the best films of the 2000s.
Yep.
There was one vote, Wade, one vote only for Team America: World Police,
and that was David Aaronstein.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
I voted. Not number one.
Yes.
But I thought Team America, which I thought was unbelievably, just gut-splittingly rolling on the floor laughing funny.
Yes.
I thought that was one of the best films of the 2000s.
I'm telling you, I love that film as well. I absolutely love it.
And why do you love it?
I'm so Ronry.
That's right.
Yes. In fact, today, I was actually, on several instances today, I actually made some people laugh by going, Matt Damon. See, it makes you laugh.
You know what? I haven't watched that movie in a long time, and I don't want to because I'm afraid that, it won't be as funny.
Oh, it will be.
Now I have a question. Why are you doing your own personal Facebook posting when you're not on the Digigods Facebook page? Why? Tell us why.
Why? I don't know. It's easy. I don't know. I haven't. I'll get over it and I'll here, slap me. Thank you.
I just did.
All right.
Couple of Blu-rays coming up in the next few months, and then we'll get to...
Have you seen Dark Knight Rises trailer?
Huh?
The Dark Knight Rises trailer?
I might have seen the trailer. I know I saw the 8-minute prologue.
The 8-minute prologue?
You don't know?
I know about the 8-minute prologue, but I haven't watched it.
Well, there's always some kid in Taiwan who takes a video camera and tapes it. Well, I found one, and I watched it.
Of course you did.
I know. It's cool.
All right.
Batman's not in it. Batman's not in the 8-minute prologue. But wait, I just said I got some stuff.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
God damn it. Skipping ahead. Actually, it's a bunch of crap. Real Steel.
Oh, yeah, that's
the Sean Levy film, which got surprisingly good reviews, although it's still Sean Levy. That's coming out on January 24th. Contagion, which I liked a lot, is coming out January 3rd. and the unnecessary remake of The Thing coming out on January 31st.
The prequel. It was a prequel to The Thing.
Yeah, that's true. It was a prequel to The Thing.
Yeah, prequel.
Whatever. All that's coming out in January.
Cool.
Of all those, I would definitely pick Contagion. That's the one you got to watch.
I would agree. I would definitely agree.
So we got some music, we got some TV, we got some movies.
we got music, TV, movies, the whole schmear, old movies, new movies. But first, you know what? There was a book that we neglected to mention in our holiday podcast.
Dictionary, Thesaurus, Bible?
No, a bio of the great John Huston.
Interesting.
Yes, it's called John Huston, Courage and Art, and it's by Jeffrey Myers, who has previously done biographies of Ernest Hemingway and Humphrey Bogart and numerous others. And this is with full cooperation of the Huston estate, but without any meddling. So he can tell you a warts and all biography and include all kinds of really cool archival stuff, photos and whatnot that has never shown up in any of the other biographies. And have you ever read any John Huston biographies?
I have not.
Quite a life, you know. The guy really, he was like the last of the great sort of mountain men, Wild West gunslingers who turned into filmmakers. You know, there were a bunch of those. John Ford was one and Griffith was one. You know, guys who came from really rugged backgrounds and they kind of brought all of that to, you know... Peckinpah. I mean, guys who would... You know, if they hadn't been filmmakers, if they'd lived 100 years earlier...
Sam Fuller?
They would have been world explorers.
Sam Fuller.
Yeah, they weren't the film school generation. These are guys who just said, you know, I'm now going to channel my world exploring energies into making movies and telling stories. And it was a great generation. And Huston was like the last great one of those guys. And, you know, there he is directing The Dead with an oxygen tank attached to him, sitting in a wheelchair. I mean, that takes guts, man.
That was his last film.
That was his last film.
I remember that.
But I'll tell you, there's a lot of stuff in this biography that it does not show up in the other bios. It's terrific. It's absolutely first-rate, highly recommended. I don't know that I would say it's the definitive Huston bio. I think they all kind of work together to tell a definitive story, but it certainly is, I'd say this is a must-include. If you're missing this on the shelf and you have other Huston bios, you're making a mistake. It is great. It's called John Huston, Courage and Art. And it's out there right now.
I love him. You know what? For some reason, every time I think of John Huston, I think of Robert Altman. I don't know why.
Really?
They weren't even really the same.
Not really.
You know what? Because I think of these guys who started young and they had careers that spanned decades. They worked until they basically dropped dead.
Yep, true.
I mean, Altman died.
Very true.
I mean, Altman died very soon after Prairie Home Companion, and John Huston was pretty much dead when he did his last film.
Oh, Last Couple.
Yeah,
Last Couple. Now, I'm going to go real quickly through. I know you're going to kill me. Listen, after you've had... Look, I'm doing this as a favor to our listeners. I'm doing this because I love them, because I know that when they've had that Christmas dinner or that Hanukkah dinner... I mean, in Hanukkah's a whole week. You're eating more during Hanukkah than you do during Christmas and Christmas Eve. I know this because I went shopping today for enough food to feed the 50 people that I've got to help feed this coming weekend. 50 people, Mark. 50 people. I'm going to feed 50 people. You know what happens when people eat too much?
They get fat.
And what happens when you get fat? What do you got to do?
You have to...
You got to exercise. You got to get it off.
I see.
You got to get it off.
That's what's not going to happen.
That's what's going to happen. So here, I'm going to go through real quickly. This will take no time at all. Don't fret. I'm going to go through really quickly because I consulted with my sister-in-law, who's big in yoga, about what people need to do to get it off. One of the top considerations, Yoga Burn from Gaiam. This is with Rodney Yee. This will get you fit and toned. It will just kick it out. This Rodney Yee guy, he rules. He's the best. I'm getting into yoga, Mark. I'm going to get a mat. I'm going to start doing it regularly. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to become lithe and toned and firm and slim, and I'm going to live forever.
Wait, I'm just checking my iPhone while you go through these DVDs I don't care about. So you just keep
Another
going.
one is Iyengar Yoga with Gabriella. This is actually really outstanding. I had looked for a long time to try and find an Iyengar Yoga DVD. And this,
who hasn't?
You know what? Iyengar Yoga actually fixed my back after an auto accident years ago. Iyengar is the guy. He's an Indian guy who took yoga and he was crippled and he healed himself. It's an amazing story. Anyway, Iyengar, that's...
he was dead and yoga...
It's like, brought him back to life. Iyengar, Iyengar Yoga with Gabriella, 2 L's, and it's absolutely terrific. It's a multi-language version. You can listen to it in Japanese if you want. Really have an exotic moment. Jane Fonda's back at it with Firm and Burn and Trim, Tone, and Flex. These are part of Jane Fonda Primetime. There are 2 workouts on the one, 3 workouts on the other. I really like the phrasing that they put here. Move and groove to burn fat and tone muscles. Move and groove.
Maybe instead of doing that crap, Jane Fonda should actually work in movies again. I mean, you know what? I mean, look, we need people
Not
like
a
Jane
chance.
Fonda.
Jimmy,
Like Jane Fonda, Julie Christie,
I know, we
Annette
do.
Bening, some of these older women, they're so great.
I know.
You know, and I'm not saying there's a lot of roles for them.
You know who
but,
there is
you
a
know,
role for?
Betty White.
Jimmy Pena. In Pray Fit, the 33-day total body challenge, healthy in body and strong in spirit in 33 minutes a day. I don't know who Jimmy Pena is, but it's a pretty good workout. It's a little bit gimmicky, but this one's interesting. Billy Blanks Jr., fat-burning hip-hop mix. Billy Blanks Jr., what has he done other than be the son of a dad who's much more impressive? Kind of a little bit scary, but anyway, Billy Blanks Jr., not his dad, I'll tell you right now, not even close, but he's obviously making a name for himself. Denise Austin, Shape Up and Shed Pounds. This one's pretty great. There are 2 workouts on here. For people who don't want to get into yoga and don't want anything too high impact or too demanding, this will probably be just fine. It's just kind of cardio and general stretching. This is for the people who look like Kim Jong-un.
I remember I used to like Denise Austin. I thought she was pretty, but she wasn't as pretty as Kathy Smith. I remember Kathy Smith.
Oh yeah,
she was one of the
totally.
first ones.
She was.
She was hotter. She was like a straight blonde.
And then The Biggest Loser, the workout at-home challenge from beginner to winner in 4 weeks. This is like routines from the show, and it's okay. It's not great. It's just exploiting the show. I think some of the other stuff we have here is better, but this one's okay. And then my favorites here are this. You're going to love this. Check it out. Deepak Chopra and Tara Stiles. How about that? Deepak Chopra. I know. You thought, what, an exercise guy? No. Tara Stiles takes you through yoga routines, and then Deepak Chopra caps it all off with some meditation. So it's yoga and meditation on yoga transformation, weight loss, and balance, and then yoga transformation, strength, and energy. You get the yoga and the meditation on one disc, or in this case, 2. The yoga and the meditation.
I am not bailing you out. I'm not bailing you out.
Fine, whatever. All right, Mark, talk about TV.
Oh, Blu-ray, Batman Year One. You know what? I think somebody. Here's what I think somebody should do.
What should somebody do?
Somebody should add up every single Batman comic book ever and figure out how old Batman actually would be.
Yes.
If he actually had all those adventures. There's 700 issues of Detective. There's 500 issues of Batman. There's all these animated shows. There's all the movies. There's the TV show. I think Batman would be like 150 years old if he actually lived each of these adventures like an actual person.
Probably.
Batman Year One is an animated show that I actually kind of like this. You know why? Because I like the animation. Some of these cartoon adaptations, I don't like the animation, especially the Avengers ones and the ones where they look like little tiny weebles. I don't like that. But this one is a lot better. This is Batman Year One, and this includes an exclusive short called Catwoman, and who was featured in the new Christopher Nolan movie coming up. And there's a lot of good exclusives on this. There's a conversation with the team that created this Batman Year One thing. There's a commentary, and there's good stuff in this. This is one of the better ones because I do like the animation. The Blu-ray comes with a DVD and a digital copy, which you will never use. But otherwise, Batman Year One on Blu-ray, I kind of liked it. It's good stuff.
Swanky. We here have Look Season 1 on DVD, 2-disc set. This is the Showtime series, which we actually got a little sneak peek at for our listeners. If you remember way back when Adam Rifkin's film version of Look came out, we did an interview with Adam Rifkin.
Yes, from the not the Four Seasons, the other one.
The other
on
one.
Burton Way.
What is it? The Chauverez, the Snuffices, the
It's my favorite hotel, the Snuffices.
It's the Montefraz.
We have no idea.
Yeah, it's
no
one of those.
idea.
It's one of those.
He was very nice.
Yeah, but it was terrific. We sat in the lobby and we did the interview with him, and he mentioned that Look would be, which was a movie shot entirely from the point of view of surveillance cameras. would be turned into a television series. And indeed it has been. It's a Showtime series, season 1, and it's pretty cool. I think actually it works better as a series. It doesn't feel gimmicky, actually. It feels, with the TV series, like it's just different. It's like halfway between a fictional show, like a narrative show, and a scripted show, and a reality show. There's something kind of cool about it. It's a good, cool vibe. So anyway, this is season 1, 2 discs. Are we always alone when we think we are? Look, season 1. Adam Rifkin, keep it up, man. Rock on. Good stuff.
Big Love is finally come to an end, Wade.
I know. We talked about the big complete box set as a Christmas gift, but if you already have all the other seasons, hey, you just need to pick up the complete 5th season.
That's right. Bill Paxton, Gene Triplehorn, Chloe Sevigny, Jennifer Goodwin, and by the way, I saw Jennifer Goodwin outside of Birds.
Oh, really?
There's a kind of a famous local bar in
Yeah.
not Silver Lake. It's kind of Hollywoody. I don't know what they call that area. But it's called Birds, and there was Jennifer Goodwin. Very pretty girl.
I like her. She's a good actress. She's funny and she's clever.
That's true. Although I don't really know what she's been doing with herself. Is she doing movies? What is she doing?
She did that thing with was it Cameron Diaz?
Dud
or something?
Dud.
Yeah.
Bonus features including commentary and a featurette about the end of the series. This is a show that I think got off to kind of a slow start, and then it kind of built up some speed. I don't know that this show is ever as loved as some of the other HBO series, but they did a great job of not falling into the cliches.
Indeed.
Of a guy with 3 wives. You get
Yeah.
it's all going to you figured all would just be like 4-way sex for 5 seasons. They never did that.
You know what's funny? For the first 3 years, I thought the name of this show was Big Glove. Isn't that funny?
No, because it's not true.
Okay. Wouldn't that be great if I did a show about Big Glove?
Oh, it'd be the Michael Jackson story.
Yeah. But a guy who just has like a big Mickey Mouse glove and he wears it on one hand and he just walks around all the time and he waves at people.
The Michael Jackson
He
story.
like squeezes people in the butt.
The Michael Jackson story.
Oh, there we go. Okay. We've also got Mildred Pierce, oddly enough, with Guy Pearce. No, spelled differently. This was Kate Winslet in her Emmy-winning performance in Mildred Pierce, which also stars Guy Pearce and Evan Rachel Wood. This is a 5-part HBO miniseries that hews much more closely to the complete story than does the original classic black and white film from what year was the original Mildred Pierce?
The 50s?
I think it was the 50s.
Was it 50s? Well, this thing here was very well received. It's just terrific.
Well, it's directed by Todd Haynes, who has a real knack for kind of reinterpreting. I mean, Todd Haynes is an experimental filmmaker who can make really, really annoying and pretentious junk when he does stuff like I'm
Not There.
I'm Not There, the
Bob
Dylan
Dylan
thing.
film, yeah.
Oh my
Which I
gosh,
kinda
it was
liked
just
that.
I hated that. But when he, other than that, things like Far From Heaven, which is a terrific movie in that whole classic melodrama vein, and Douglas Sirk, paying homage to Douglas Sirk in that film. So he really has a grasp of the old melodramas and how to reinterpret them, and he did a great job here, really terrific job. The production values are terrific. Melissa Leo is also in this, does a wonderful performance. James LeGros, one of the great underrated independent film actors of the last 25, 30 years, is also in it. Terrific. So, really, really good. Gotta tell you, I think this is surprisingly good, and you can get it on a fabulous collector's edition Blu-ray and DVD set. By all means, focus on the Blu-ray because it's really, really well shot, and it's got a couple of audio commentaries and featurettes and all kinds of great stuff. And Kate Winslet is terrific. Final season of Smallville on Blu-ray. I'm a little bit sick of the whole Superman thing, but I guess in anticipation of the Zack Snyder Superman. Which, by the way, have you seen the suit in that thing?
Well, the suit
looks ridiculous.
Well, the suit matches the new suit in the comic.
I don't care. It looks ridiculous. It
Well,
looks like it's made like it's sprayed on.
Well, that's fine. But I'm saying it
ridiculous.
matches the suit in the comic.
It looks like it's all made of rubber. It's really lame looking. Anyway, no, this is the last season of Smallville, which has its following. And what do you want me to recommend? It's got a couple of audio commentaries, 22 episodes total. This is season 10. I can't believe this thing lasted that long, and a whole bunch of featurettes on it, a music video. It is what it is. If you have to take season 10 to get yourself into Smallville, you've missed out. So this is if you have all the others, by all means convert to Blu-ray because it really does look good on Blu-ray. I'll give it that much. But I'm kind of sick of it.
I get it, Wade. You know what show I don't get is The Life and Times of Tim. This is an animated show that's been on HBO for a couple seasons, not getting a whole lot of attention. It's sort of an under-the-radar kind of a comedy by this guy named Steve Dildarian, and he plays the title character.
Steve Dildarian?
I just work here.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. This is kind of one of those like Seinfeldian comedies where like this kid in his 20s, hangs out in New York and gets into crazy, awkward, real life situations and has to, get his way out of it.
Okay.
You know what? I would rather watch episodes of Seinfeld, and the animation is sort of like purposely crude, and I'm not really a fan of that like Dr. Katz purposely crude animation. I think it's kind of silly, but still, people dig it. I just think that it never really broke out beyond super cult status. There's one bonus feature, which is a making of the series, which I guess is fine. But otherwise, there's 10 episodes here. There's a new season premieres on December 16th, which has prompted the release of this, The Life and Times of Tim, complete second season. I don't. It's just too cult for me. I just don't get it.
I'm going to give some advice to Paramount right now. I've got here in my hands Gunsmoke, the 5th season, Volume 2. And let me tell you something. It's perfectly fine. James Arness, he's doing the Gunsmoke Western thing while his brother, the Mission Impossible guy, Peter Graves, is doing the Mission Impossible thing. And they, a couple of brothers, they own the 60s. That's great. Fine. Good deal. Now, let me tell you something here. First off, Gunsmoke ran for 22 years?
Something like that.
It was something obnoxious like that. We are now on Volume 2 of the 5th season as 2011 draws to a close. It was in July of 2007 that they released the first season. And then they released Season 2 in 2008. And at the very end of 2008, they released the first part of Season 3, and then they released the second part of Season 3 in 2009, in May. And then we had to wait over a year to get to Season 4, which they released in short order in October and December of 2010. And here we are, a year later, October and December of 2011, and we get Season 5, which seems to mean that they are settling into a Part 1, Part 2 release in October and December, one season per year. At that rate, to get the rest of Gunsmoke on DVD, it is going to take another 15 years. What are they smoking? Get this show out. Stop releasing it in Volume 1 and Volume 2. In 15 years, there will be no more DVDs. This is nuts. This show, just get it out. You've got it all. I mean, I realize they don't want to blow it out because they'll freak people. You know what? Anyone who's going to want to watch Gunsmoke is going to want the whole thing, and they're going to want it now. Just give it to them, for crying out loud. Get the complete series out there in one big $2,000 set, and just leave it. And let it kind of run its course.
You know what? I don't know what the justification is.
This is insane.
I could see if maybe
4 years to get 5 seasons out.
I know. You know what? It's sort of like that conversation we had years ago about the Mary Tyler Moore set, where somebody just says, "Hey, it's been a while since we've done a Mary Tyler Moore
so
season.
stupid.
Let's just release that."
Lame.
I just don't get it. Wait, Futurama season 6 is finally on Blu-ray, and here's what I love about this Blu-ray. 13 episodes on 2 discs.
Nice.
I love that.
Nice.
And you know what?
Clean.
Because a lot of times they feel like they've got to make the packaging big and thick to make it look like there's a lot on there. You know what?
No.
13 episodes.
Clean.
2 discs.
Nice.
This is the season that Futurama had sort of returned. It was on Fox and wound up being canceled and then picked up by Comedy Central. They asked for 26 half-hour episodes that began airing in June of 2010. And this is the first 13 episodes of the Comedy Central run. And my thoughts on Futurama haven't really changed that much, which is that it's a funny show that kind of should have been funnier. These episodes I did find kind of funny. You know, Matt Groening wrote a number of the stories for this, which of course is always great when Matt Groening participates.
Yeah.
Also, Josh Weinstein did a couple scripts for this, and Josh Weinstein is very funny, a great writer for The Simpsons. So there is some funny stuff here. Futurama Season 6, there's a bunch of special features on here, including some audio commentaries, a couple of funny deleted scenes. So if you like Futurama Season 6, go for it. I do like this show. It does continue on Comedy Central. And if you don't, and while you're watching it, Wade, drink some Slurm.
Slurm.
Drink some Slurm. It comes out of a worm's anus.
How does that compare to Tranya?
This is Tranya. I hope you relish it as much as I.
Yes, and then his brother went on to win an Oscar for directing Russell Crowe. And
you know what? It's funny. When I got the Star Trek original series Blu-rays, right? I watched that episode, the Corbomite maneuver.
Yeah.
That episode was directed totally different from any of the other episodes. There's handheld work in there, and it just looks different from any other episode. And I checked to see who directed. You know who directed that episode? That the only episode of Star Trek he directed, Joseph Sargent.
Interesting.
Is the only episode of Star Trek that Joe Sargent directed, and
That's interesting.
Joseph Sargent is like, the guy's like a
TV legend.
He's kind of a TV legend.
He's like the Cecil B. DeMille of television.
But he directed The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
original.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
MacArthur.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and Jaws of Revenge.
Yeah.
Forget that.
A lot of great miniseries, too.
No, but
didn't he?
he's like a real director.
I know.
And I remember in the Corbomite maneuver, there's a shot that you never saw again in the whole series where Kirk is in the turbo shaft and the doors open.
Oh, and they follow him out.
They follow him out
I
over
remember
his shoulder.
that. I remember that.
Never saw that again. That's Joe Sargent.
Good for him.
Isn't that just bizarre?
That's great.
I mean,
remember that.
else,
I totally remember that.
Yeah, it was because it was handheld and it was in a position that you weren't used to seeing on the show, and it just looked and felt different and cooler and way more realistic, like you're sort of like in the turbo lift with him. And I looked, and it was Joe Sargent. Good for him.
We're going to go into some movies now. Life Above All is a terrific film that came out earlier this year from Sony Pictures Classics. It has not been remembered. They didn't even send this out as a screener for us, did they? For awards consideration. It's too bad. Life Above All is a really, really good movie. Oliver Schmidt's directed this. It takes place in South Africa. It's about a girl who goes on a... How do I put this without giving anything away? This 12-year-old girl, there's a family stigma, and she has to find her mother. And her family is basically being torn apart. She's taking care of her little brother. It immerses you in the horror and the tragedy and the superstition that is tearing apart the townships in South Africa. And it's a really gutsy film, and this girl is so phenomenal. She is so incredible. It will just blow your mind. It's based on a book called Shonda's Secrets, and you got to check this out. If you missed it, you have really this'll just floor you. In fact, I may even have to insert this in my top 10. I'm still working out my top 10.
Insert this in your what?
My top 10 for the year.
Geez.
Life Above All. Anyway, Life Above All. It was the Certain Regard Cannes. It was in the Toronto and San Francisco and Ebert Fests, and absolutely worthy film.
Wade, Ruben Fleischer directed a film that I liked a lot called Zombieland. And he followed it up with a film I don't like as much called 30 Minutes or Less. This is with Jesse Eisenberg and Danny McBride, who I don't understand.
Why would those two people wind up in a movie together?
Why?
I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't get it.
Anyway, the cast of this movie doesn't make any sense to me.
Anyway, these two criminals kidnap Jesse Eisenberg and force him to rob a bank. This movie has a little bit of what I didn't like about Your Highness, which is I felt it was directed...
Danny McBride?
Yeah. I mean, there is a through line there. It's not a coincidence. I just felt it was directed with no particular energy and no particular, wit or creativity. It's just basically just a big slacker comedy. I'm not a big fan of slacker comedies like that.
I hate them.
But there's special features there, including deleted scenes, outtakes, a couple of exclusive to Blu-ray extras, including a picture-in-picture commentary, which I kind of like. That's always fun. But the movie, not that funny. Colin Farrell, what happened to you, Colin Farrell? You are now starring with Anton Yelchin in Fright Night 3D, a relaunch of the Fright Night franchise.
Boat payments.
When he was signed on to do this, I wondered why. I thought, is there something in this new telling that could actually be something? You know what I mean?
No, nothing whatsoever.
Huh?
Nothing whatsoever.
You know what? I didn't like the original Friday. Those Friday Night movies are really not for me.
They're
Really like
lame.
them.
They're lame.
But it's got a good cast. It was directed by Craig Gillespie, and it was moderately well received. I just don't like these sorts of movies. People thought it was kind of scary, but also kind of funny, a little tongue in cheek, and people appreciated that. So I think that the movie does have its fans. I just happen to be not one of them. There's 4 ways to watch this film. There's the Blu-ray 3D, the regular Blu-ray, the DVD, and the digital copy.
Oh, boy.
4 ways, of which you will only watch one, which is the Blu-ray. And that's Friday Night 3D. Looks great, though. I'll give him that. I mean, it's a pretty medium budget film. It's not super low budget, so there is some money put behind it, and it does look good. But otherwise, only if you like this kind of stuff.
There was an Israeli film from a few years ago, a really, really successful Israeli film that was remade as the English language film The Debt, and that's out on DVD and on Blu-ray. The Debt, directed by John Madden, who directed Shakespeare in Love, to Best Picture win. Way back when, and John Madden hasn't really recaptured the magic of that moment since, but The Debt is, I like it more the more I think about it. When I saw it, I was like, not so much. But here's the concept here. You got an Israeli special forces team they're all aging now. They're all heroes because of a mission that they're all legendary for, and Helen Mirren is, the female from that great team, and apparently something from all those years earlier isn't quite right. There's a secret, something that hasn't been divulged, and that secret's on the verge of coming out. And you flash back to that event with Jessica Chastain, who's been in everything this last year, playing the young Helen Mirren, and you revisit the actual event itself when these Israeli commandos had to go on, this very, very dangerous mission, crossing a border, and I won't give you all the details of it, but it deals with Nazi war criminals and the Cold War, and the degree to which they may or may not be protected in the Eastern Bloc, and it's very, very it's one of those films that tries to play tricks on you, but it does it so intelligently that you don't necessarily object to the fact that it's kind of mechanical. Very well directed, and all the acting is terrific. Not perfect. Few things that I would have preferred they not do, but some nice supporting performances by Karen Hines, who's hardly in it. Tom Wilkinson, who's terrific. So check it out on Blu-ray. Don't watch it on DVD. You need it on Blu-ray. It's really, really well photographed. Terrific contrast on the Blu-ray, especially. So I have to really tip my hat to the good people at Universal and Focus, because they did a really good one here. And I don't always like the Universal Blu-rays, but this one's real sharp, dark, moody. All that contrasty stuff that they're doing in East Berlin in the middle of the night really, really looks sharp. Very, very eerie, very cool.
Very gray.
Very gray, and
Cold War-ish.
But it's the shadows, when you watch it on DVD, the shadows just kind of chalk out. They just vanish. But on the Blu-ray, everything is just really crisp and immersive.
I like that.
Immersive.
I like that.
I'm going to use that word again, immersive.
I like that. What I like less is Tanner Hall. Tanner Hall is a rather cliched and generic story that takes place at a girls' boarding school. This is notable only because it stars Rooney Mara. What's her name? Rooney Mara, who is Lisbeth Sander in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And by the way, I thought she was fine in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, although she does not take the place of Noomi Rapace, who, by the way,
is not that great in Sherlock Holmes.
She's not. You know what? It's a nothing part, and she looks weird. I'm telling you, Wade, in Sherlock Holmes, she looks weird.
I know, I agree.
Like, she's really actually not that pretty.
Hair's too long.
No.
I don't know, something. I don't know.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Zoe Saldana stars in Columbiana.
Oh, my God, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to talk about how bad that is. You know what? Here's why Zoe Saldana did this movie. Because her agent said, Zoe, this movie is a piece of junk. But here's the thing. You'll get top billing. And you want to set that precedent. Once you set the precedent of having top billing, you will never have to give that back. So even though this thing is a piece of junk programmer with lots of fetish shots of you fighting and big explosions, you will get top billing. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're absolutely spot on. Look, here's the thing. Luc Besson has made a career over the last 15 years of just doing these completely formulaic French action films that many of them are actually done in English, and this is one of them. And he's just basically remaking La Femme Nikita here, which is offensive. He wrote this with Robert Mark Kamen, who's been his writing partner for years, beginning with The Fifth Element, and they've done a lot of stuff like Taken and the Transporter films. And Robert Mark Kamen, of course, did the Karate Kid. So it's the Karate Kid guy with the Femme Nikita guy, and next thing you know, you got a whole lot of action and martial arts, and there it is. And they always hire somebody from the Hong Kong film industry to do the action choreography, and then they'll hire some just low-rung assistant director from the French film industry to get a directing debut on this, so they don't have to pay him a lot, and he'll listen to him. The guy who directed this is Olivier Megaton.
Go for it, Wade. By the way, that's not his real name.
I know it isn't.
You realize how he came up with that name? he took his last name from because he was born on the day they bombed Hiroshima.
Yeah, it's great. Clever guy. Megaton. I'm just going to use that. Megaton. Is that dorky?
I know. Which is worse, Olivier Megaton or McG?
McG.
Okay.
Actually. Anyway, this is just redoing La Femme Nikita with a woman who has, she escapes her family's assassination at the hands of Colombian drug dealers, and then she grows up to be this unbelievably insane female assassin who can do no wrong, except that all of her missions depend on people doing absolutely absurd things. That if this guy did not leave a battery if he didn't leave a cup of tea in a certain place, her whole plan would be foiled. It depends on people doing stupid things. It's just ridiculous. Absurd screenplay.
You love it.
But whatever. Zoe Saldana's great. Here's the funny story that goes along with this. I saw this with Tim. And Tim told this story on NPR, but he didn't quite tell it in these words. He used slightly more delicate language appropriate to NPR. But Tim actually leans over to me halfway through this movie, and he says, she's so fine, I almost don't hate this movie. Yeah. Which really defines it.
Awesome.
So there it is, Colombiana. But it's on Blu-ray, which is perfectly fine. It's not a great Blu-ray. I've seen better, but there it is. It's Sony. They should be doing better, but they kind of phoned this one in, I think.
A not bad movie that took a real shot is a thing called Blackthorn. Now, the reason why Blackthorn is notable is not because it's a Western, because there's lots and lots of Westerns. In fact, I'm almost sick of Westerns at this point, but it's because we have Sam Shepard. Now, Sam Shepard isn't just playing another Sam Shepard-y grizzled Western dude. Sam Shepard is actually playing Butch Cassidy. Now, this is Butch Cassidy in his later years, and it takes place in Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, at the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they were dreaming of going off to Bolivia.
Yes.
Well, here in Blackthorn, he actually goes to Bolivia. Now, of course, at the end of Butch Cassidy, he famously gets completely gunned down, but whatever.
Sure.
This is Blackthorn, and you know what? This film really isn't that bad. It's very kind of contemplative, and it's beautifully shot, and Shepard is great, and it was directed by this guy named Mateo Gil, who wrote a bunch of screenplays, including The Sea Inside, and Agura. So there is some stuff to be seen here. This Blackthorn, and it's it's big and lots of vistas and lots of shots of heroic guys on horseback riding into camera, and it's really not that bad. So if you're tired of westerns, you may want to check out Blackthorn because it might reinvigorate your love of this classic old genre. Blackthorn.
Totally. An interesting little movie here called Daddy Longlegs, which is from the Kim Stim collection. It's been released kind of in tandem from IFC Films, Zeitgeist, and Kim Stim, three really institutional names when it comes to independent film. And this is a curious little, cool little independent film that really should have gotten. I think this got a very, very brief theatrical release and didn't go anywhere after that. But this was nominated for a Spirit Award, and deservingly so. This is a cool little independent film by Josh and Benny Safdie, Safdie, that is sort of semi-autobiographical on their part. And it just basically details the story of their relationship with their dad, and what a strange, awkward, and sometimes troubling and disturbing tale it is. I don't usually like films that are semi-autobiographical because, as my wife often says, just because it's meaningful to you doesn't mean it's meaningful to everyone else.
Can I say something about this film?
What can you say about it?
This film is terrific.
Yeah.
I really like this film a lot, actually.
I wish
you know
it
why?
were...
Because Daddy Longlegs, he's the father of these kids.
Not to be confused with these W.C. Fields film, Daddy Longlegs, by the way. Yes.
He is the worst father ever. When you watch the movie, it's not
but
like...
he doesn't mean to be bad.
No, that's
He's
why...
He's well-intentioned.
Yes, that's why the movie's kind of
terrifying.
Neurotic.
He's just neurotic.
And you watch this movie, and it's one of those films where it looks really low budget, and it was shot on the streets of New York, so it looks great.
You see, my issues with it are sort of the mumblecore element to it. It's not a mumblecore film, but it kind of looks and feels a little bit. It has that, but it transcends that, so I appreciate that.
I actually would recommend Daddy Longlegs. It's a good movie. Good movie.
Go get some.
One of the surprise box office hits of the last quarter century, was the... Well, I'm taking one of these because you got two. Was a Dolphin Tail 3D. Now, a dolphin tail is based on a true story about a dolphin who loses its tail, and then it's given an artificial tail. And it's got a terrific cast: Chris Christopherson, Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judd, Harry Connick Jr.
And a lot of CGI.
Now, Harry Connick Jr., Ashley Judd, they sort of spell like lame direct-to-DVD-ness, whereas like Morgan Freeman, he does a lot now. I think Morgan Freeman's got to relax.
Yeah.
And Chris Christopherson's always cool. But you know what this thing was? It came out at a time when there was not a lot of similar content in theaters.
Totally.
So parents had nothing to take their kids to.
True.
And they wound up taking their kids to this.
Totally.
And, it really isn't that bad.
No, it's all right.
I have to say.
It's all right.
It looks, does it look good on Blu-ray? It's not particularly beautifully shot. It looks fine.
I like Harry Connick Jr. He was once married to Grace on Will and Grace, and he was a doctor. I like that story.
What?
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
You know what?
What you talking about, Willis?
I don't know. Out on Blu-ray is the completely superfluous and pointless remake of Straw Dogs.
Wasn't this just like
courtesy of Rod Lurie?
Why?
Rod Lurie, who used to be a film critic just like us, and now he makes remakes of better movies. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what he was thinking. I honestly, I have not seen Rod in probably, good grief, how long? At least 12 years. Because he's like, hoity-toity now. But I don't know why. I don't know what the point was. I just don't. Like, why? It's just the original Straw Dogs. The original Straw Dogs is such a terrific peck-and-paw film. It's so kind of over the top in a really creepy way. Hoffman is so good in it. And why would you want to try and replicate that? I just don't get it.
I can see replicating it if you can somehow contemporize the themes.
Yeah, but they don't.
It's just a straight retelling. I can see why Lurie would say, I like this film a lot. I just don't know that he ever said, I like this film a lot and I can bring something new to it. It's just like, let's just make the same movie.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it came and went, and deservedly so. Commentary on here with Rod, who's always a good talker. I mean, he knows how to kind of make it sound interesting. I just wish the movie were up to it. As a Blu-ray, sure, it looks great. I mean, it's got a lot of dark and a lot of fire, and the orange against the blacks is lovely. And I'm sure you'll probably see this playing on a lot of floor models of televisions throughout the holiday season.
That and Daddy Longlegs. A movie that for some reason I thought would be terrible and people just love it is Margin Call. Now, Margin Call is the story of it's like 24 hours in the life of an investment bank, and it's got an all-star cast including Kevin Spacey and Jeremy Irons and Zachary Quinto and Simon Baker and Demi Moore, Stanley Tucci, and what I liked about this film, and it is a good film, surprisingly good, and I expected nothing out of it, was that it, even though all these people do terrible things that eventually bring down the country, in a way you sort of sympathize with them because they're just sort of like regular people making moment-to-moment decisions.
Yeah.
Even though they're ultimately terrible decisions.
Yes.
So the movie doesn't let them off the hook. The movie just says, look at them as people.
I'm going to say I like this film for what it does. I don't think it's a great film. For what it does, I like it better than, what was the Ben Affleck thing last year?
You know what? The thing with the Ben Affleck thing last year, which was, that was one directed by John Wells. Who created,
not Simple Man, but
no,
what's it, man?
Hang on. Don't stop the recording. Don't stop the recording. I'm going to find out the name of this movie. I'm going to think of it. You ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It's called Mildred Pierce. Company Men.
Company Men, thank you.
The problem with Company Men is that I didn't like Company Men. Because you know what? The problem with Company Men is that everybody in it was incredibly rich to begin with. You know, so I don't really.
I hear you.
I didn't feel bad that Ben Affleck had to downgrade from a Porsche to a to like a less expensive
You're not
Porsche.
getting any
I didn't
argument from
care.
me. Catch 44. That's Catch dot 44 is in 44 Magnum Man. This was written and directed by Aaron Harvey, and somehow this straight-to-video nightmare, or did this wind up in a theater for half a second? It may have.
Half a second.
It may have been a half a second. Anyway, this is from Anchor Bay. I think they may have put this thing in the theaters for half a second. But this features Bruce Willis and Forrest Whitaker, Oscar winner Forrest Whitaker, along with Malin Ackerman and Brad Dourif, and it's a much better cast than this movie really deserves, to be honest. I don't know who Aaron Harvey is, but I find him to be of middling talent. This movie is completely and totally forgettable, and it would have just vanished if not for its cast. This is about a trio of hit women who have to, screw up some big kind of a drug deal out in Louisiana in the friggin' crazy, disgusting, hot, sweaty bayou. And, of course, everything goes wrong in, Reservoir Dogs fashion and kablooey. I got to tell you, man, it just... these movies are such a cliche, and I don't know how they keep getting made. And I don't know why people keep throwing money at these things so that they can hire, like, big-name stars, because then they just suck up all the air that should otherwise be going to better movies. It's on Blu-ray and on DVD. Nobody is that remarkable in this thing. Forrest Whitaker deserves better, and Bruce Willis certainly should know better. And, nothing remarkable about the Blu-ray or the DVD. I'm sorry to say. I was really looking forward to this, and I'm mighty disappointed.
That's telling them what
There it is. That's it. Telling you.
Warrior is a film that
Was shot on film.
Directed by Gavin O'Connor. This is the problem with this movie is that there's two problems with the movie. Which, by the way, as a crafted piece of entertainment art, it really isn't bad. Here's the two problems it had. Three problems it had. One is people felt as if they saw the same film last year with The Fighter. The other problem is that it's about the MMA, where people beat the crap out of each other, and nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, I know.
The other thing is called Warrior.
They should have known when David Mamet made Red Belt.
Which I love Mamet, and I didn't like that film.
Yeah, they should have known.
Well, here's the thing: is that if you're going to make a movie about the MMA, and you're going to call it Warrior, forget all women. Women will not see that film.
Right on.
Men over the age of, let's say, 50 will not see that film.
No.
So you got college kids are not going to see this film because it's too prestige feeling.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So who's going to see this film?
Yep.
Nobody. And it did poorly, and I was upset it did poorly for two reasons. Those two reasons are Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. These are two guys who are finally starting to hit mainstream, and I'm really happy because they're very, very talented. Love Tom Hardy, love Joel Edgerton.
I'm with you.
And I just think this thing was a total misfire.
It's a spectacular-looking Blu-ray, though, I got to tell you. It is
I love this movie.
I know, we're going to get to it in a moment.
I want it.
Spectacular-looking Blu-ray, though. Warrior really, really looks good. I mean, it's Lionsgate pulled out all the stops. Mark, I'd love to tell this story about the Expendables and about how you chose to take your date to go see that Julia Roberts movie, and then she said, I'd so much rather see the Expendables.
Oh, you know what? I've told that story.
You have.
It was Eat, Pray, Love.
That was it.
I figured she's a woman. She's going to want to go see Eat, Pray, Love. We're standing in line for the screen for Eat, Pray, Love. And I said, does the joke go, hey, Expendables was screening the same night. She goes, I so would have rather have seen that.
You know what's interesting about the Expendables? This thing cost a fraction of what the A-Team cost. And it had stars that should be past their prime, which was the whole point of it, Stallone and, who directed it. And it didn't have the name recognition of the A-Team. And yet it made more. It made more money.
That is true.
And which means it's vastly more profitable. A real coup for Lionsgate, even though they took a bath in some of their other films last year. But The Expendables rightfully deserves a sequel. It's going to be great.
I have to say, Wade, before you talk about it, may I say something?
Go ahead.
I hated this movie.
The Expendables?
I really did.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought it was just so obnoxiously loud.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be. I mean, come on. When Jason Statham does the basketball scene, come on.
Just couldn't handle it.
Great moment. It's like old school action stuff. It was fun.
stop it.
I had a good time.
The worst.
I mean, it's not good, but I had a fair enough time. Anyway, co-written by Stallone and directed by Stallone, and it has an old school feel to it, so I'm okay with it. Anyway, it's a bunch of guys on a mission movie. It's the A-Team.
It's just so obnoxiously loud. Enough with the explosions.
I know.
It's not even like wink wink macho. I think it really is trying to be macho.
Yeah, it is. I like Dolph Lundgren in it because he's Dolph Lundgren, and we've interviewed him. And then lastly, Mark, Midnight in Paris, one of the best films of the year.
I agree.
It's just terrific. I love this film. I love it. Even though, I'm getting a little tired of Woody casting younger actors as his on-screen surrogates, and he's done that so much in the last decade. I mean, in this case, it's Owen Wilson who's, doing the Woody shtick. But I think this is the most inventive, interesting, and original thing Woody's done in a long time. I'm not going to tell you what the story is. You don't need to know. Midnight in Paris. It is wonderful. It is nostalgic. It is. It sort of taps that interesting little child in all of us, and it's the first time that Woody has really kind of gone in a genre direction in a long time. Since Zelig, maybe.
Zelig, I guess,
yeah.
or
Purple Rose of Cairo.
Purple Rose of Cairo, or his contribution to New York
awesome.
Stories.
Yeah,
with the mother in the sky.
And there's a little bit of that kind of stuff in Mighty Aphrodite.
That's
a
true.
Little bit of it, but still here it's just delightful, absolutely wonderful, and
love it.
Some great performances, just great. It's just such a delight. Go see it. It's Woody, for crying out loud.
Yep.
And it's on Blu-ray, and you got to see it on Blu-ray because Woody's movies are always so well shot, especially for comedies. It's just gorgeous. Blu-ray only. Blu-ray only.
Of course, also like all Woody movies, there's no extras on the Blu-ray.
Nor should there be.
He won't do an audio commentary. No. He won't do featurettes. There's no deleted scenes.
But you do get chapter stops, which David Lynch will not do.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else we got, Wade?
Mark, we got old movies or we got some music. We can roll through some music stuff. What are we going to do? Old movies?
Let me see what we have.
Look at the music. Look at the music. It's mostly classical stuff.
That's lame. Do that.
Okay. Your favorite.
Oh, another one. I can't take it honestly. You know what? I love the first. I love the first 19 Mystery Science Theater 3000 box sets, but now I just
22.
can't take it anymore.
This one includes Time of the Apes, Mighty Jack, The Violent Years, and The Brute Man.
I don't care.
None of which I've ever heard of.
Please, well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to just make fun of the. You're supposed to love the show. Wade, make it stop.
I can't. It's not up
to
me.
Well, you realize the show was on for like 10 years.
I know.
And
they keep
forever.
coming out. They're going to keep coming.
They really do. You know what? It's fine.
We've done it. We've done it.
Come on.
There
what can
we
I
go.
tell
It's
you?
done.
It's fine. You know what? It's funny. Ha ha. It's great.
Totally. Okay, real quickly, we got some compilation sets here. Underworld Trilogy, the Essential Collection on Blu-ray.
Oh, my God, I love the Underworld films.
And, it was 2 years ago, actually, on Christmas Eve, that I saw Kate Beckinsale and her family at the market. I see celebrities every year on Christmas Eve. That's the big question. Who am I going to see this year on Christmas Eve?
Nobody.
It was Danny Boone last year and Cuba Gooding Jr. Year before that, it was Kate Beckinsale and Charlie Sheen's ex. What's her name? The rocket scientist.
Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, these are the three Underworld films, the extended cut of the original, along with Underworld Evolution and Rise of the Lycans. And what can I tell you? It's a lot of vampires and werewolves and overacting and special effects and wacky martial arts moves. And these movies are just tedious and tiresome, but they're dark and blue and a lot of blood, and they look cool on Blu-ray. I mean, if you can find this at a decent price, it's a nice thing to kind of show off a nice television or a Blu-ray set, but otherwise it's not very entertaining.
Way Complete Utter Silliness comes to you by way of Chillerama. Now, Chillerama is a bad film.
Any movie that has Rama in it, like Wonderama or Motorama, it's okay by me.
Chillerama is a bad film, but it knows it's a bad film, and that's okay, because Adam Rifkin was involved, and whatever happened to Adam Rifkin? He didn't direct it, but still, it's whatever happened to Adam Rifkin. What I'm saying is, although he did write one of the... Actually, you know what? Adam Rifkin did write one of the segments, and he did direct one of the segments. Here's what it's about. It's about the very last drive-in theater in America. And there's a quadruple feature of thriller chillers at the very last drive-in theater in America.
One of those movies.
No, come on. Here's the thing. It's obviously ridiculous. Look, here are the 4 films. Diary of Anne Frankenstein. Come on, how funny is that? Diary of Anne Frankenstein.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Zombie movie.
Oh, gads.
Wadzilla.
Oh, jeez.
And I was a teenage werebear. Now,
Fabulous.
in theory, I would love a film like this because it just has to be low budget, nobly silly.
Okay.
In fact, look, even the key art looks
know.
like some Mad Magazine, crazy 1970s thing. Ultimately, this film is just really not that funny.
The fact that it wants to be the ultimate midnight movie is kind of annoying to me. But whatever.
Yeah,
somebody has to.
Somebody has to be the ultimate midnight movie. Like any anthology film, these things are hit and miss. Obviously, Rifkin does the best of the bunch because he is the most accomplished director here. It's fine.
Okay.
It's not fine. It's stupid.
I on the radio last week I talked about the new Roger Corman movie. It's not a by him, but it's a documentary about him.
Corman's World.
It's Corman's World, and it's terrific. And did I mention that they used 2 shots in that from Schlock?
Yes, and they didn't pay you for it. I'll give you credit for it.
No, there's credit. There's
there
credit
is.
given. Yeah, there's credit given. Yeah, they used 2 shots in it. Anyway, speaking of Corman, the legendary Corman, there are two new Corman cult classic releases from the good people at Shout Factory. Triple feature here of Lethal Ladies. This is the Lethal Ladies collection with Firecracker, TNT Jackson, and Too Hot to Handle. Butt-kicking women did not originate. Well, they kind of originated in Hong Kong movies, but they were really perfected during the blaxploitation era, the exploitation era of the 70s in particular. And I got to tell you, TNT Jackson is worth the purchase price alone. Firecracker is kind of lame and cheesy, and Too Hot to Handle is so-so. But TNT Jackson with Gene Bell is pretty great. And there's some funny continuity error stuff in this thing that Tim Cockshell could tell you all about. It is just really funny, like panties that change color for no reason whatsoever. Come on. Go for it. Get some. And then we have the all-night marathon, Vampires, Mummies, and Monsters, 2-disc special edition of the 4 films that include the following: Lady Frankenstein, The Velvet Vampire, Time Walker, and Grotesque. None of these have anything to do with each other whatsoever. Lady Frankenstein is cheesy and amusing. The Velvet Vampire is hysterical. Grotesque, I'm not a fan of, but it has a real following. And Time Walker is, it's cheesy, but it's cheesy in kind of an inspired way. And it's really nicely shot, I have to say, considering it was made for no money whatsoever. It was actually interestingly shot and has a cool interview on it, by the way, with Kevin Brophy and the producer, Dimitri Villard. The thing that I found most interesting here is that The Velvet Vampire has an audio commentary by someone I actually knew growing up. The actress Celeste Yarnell, who's like in a lot of these...
Shields and Yarnell?
No. Celeste Yarnell, who's in a lot of these B movies back in the day, and I didn't know that. I actually, knew her a little bit growing up. Her daughter was...
Shields and Yarnell?
I think her daughter was like 2 years younger than I was. Anyway, she does the audio commentary here, so it's lovely to know that she's still alive and, still very much connected with her past. So that's lovely. If she's out there, Celeste, bravo. Wonderful. Nice to know you're out there.
All right, Wade, we have one more, right?
Email us at gods@digigods.com. We'd love to have Celeste Yarnell on the show.
Of course you would. Wade, one more, right? Then we're wrapping it up. Please tell me.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Wrap it up with that.
The 20th anniversary of The Rocketeer. This is the film directed by Joe Johnston that made it possible for Joe Johnston to direct Captain America. This film was sort of like, it really got mixed notices when it came out.
You remember Christine James, who used to be one of our editors at Box Office?
Oh, God,
you remember
what
Christine?
happened to her?
Christine and her husband moved to Arizona. And he is in this movie. He is a Nazi who gets like thrown out of the blimp or out of the airplane or something.
No, wait. Now, does she still write? What does she do?
I have no idea. I haven't heard from her in years.
God, I remember her.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Rocketeer is about a
rocketeer.
He's like a test pilot.
Yeah,
the guy's like a test pilot, and he straps on these rockets and a metal helmet, and he becomes the Rocketeer. And he with Timothy Dalton and Jennifer Connelly.
Here's what this is: it's Captain America crossed with The Right Stuff.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is.
Yes, it is. With a moderately early James Horner score, by the way. Yes.
Not a terrible score, not a great score, but not a terrible score. I think this movie was poorly handled, and I think. I don't think they really, because it was really heavily marketed. It wasn't like they didn't put enough money into making people aware of it. I remember big stand-ups in studio lobbies and everything else, and it didn't take off.
You know what? There was something about the marketing of that film. I remember it was pretty ubiquitous, where it seemed like they were trying to shove it down our throats. They were trying to make it into an event that the movie itself really wasn't.
Well, they wanted us to believe it was the next Indiana Jones. That was the problem, and it's not.
It's the first Rocketeer. It's not the next Indiana Jones.
Nope.
It's the first Rocketeer.
Very true.
And sometimes you just, if you can sort of manage expectations.
Yes, true.
Which is part of marketing. Not every movie can be the biggest thing ever. You got to manage expectations for the movie that it is.
There it is.
You'll be better off with Rocketeer. They tried to make it something. They tried to conflate it, inflate it into something it was not.
Exactly. Well, with that, our show is done. We have Christmas and Hanukkah coming up pronto. So listen, hopefully you've done all your gift buying. If you haven't, hopefully we gave you some ideas of some cool new things to get. Get that John Huston book. It kills. It rocks. With that, we're going to sign off wishing you a very, 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 very happy Hanukkah and an incredibly Merry Christmas. We'll be back next week with a bit of a year-end wrap-up. And in the meantime, email us at gods@digigods.com with all of your questions, concerns, hate mail, love mail. We'll take it all, read it on the air.